ओए जेबी रैंडम पंचिंग मत किया कर। 12 12। ओए रुक जा देवी, हो ना बस तो ना। इस गड्डी जो है, इस गड्डी ओए बैठ बैठ, इसका एक टास्क करवाना है। ओ सॉरी सॉरी। जेबी बैठ ना।
3:59 on the calendar in the matter of Otts Phillips versus Tuttle. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir.
Ms. Otts, this is your son.
Correct.
You purchased a car for your son on what date?
August 22nd.
What kind of car was it?
91 Ford Escort.
Were you excited with it?
New car, yeah.
And he was using it to get to and from school.
And work, correct.
The car broke down on what date?
September the 8th.
So he called you and said, my car broke down on the side of the road. Can you come and get me?
He attempted to call me, and his cell phone died. So a sheriff had stopped, and he used her cell phone.
Okay, and did the sheriff take him someplace?
No, he called me, and then I came and got him.
From the car?
Correct.
From the location where the car
Correct.
was? And the sheriff had been there too?
She had left before I got there.
Did the sheriff take any information or do anything?
She ran my records and everything, and she put the orange ribbon on my antenna, stating that I had taken care of the tow, and it was all taken care of.
How did you take care of the tow?
I did.
How did you do that?
I called my brother. He works at Hickory Grove Auto, and I get all my tows through them.
Okay, and you left.
Correct.
When you got home, your son remembered that he had something in the car.
Correct.
So you drove him back to the car?
We drove him back.
And when you got back, the car was gone?
Correct. Called the police department to report it stolen.
On the same date?
Correct.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
We reported it.
Shh. Okay, so this is what the case is all about. Mr. Tuttle has a towing company, and Mr. Tuttle came and towed your car. A month later, he contacted you. On what date did you contact her?
Would have been around the 26th, I believe.
Of September or October?
That would have been September.
It was the 5th of October.
Let me see your record, sir, indicating that you spoke to her on September 26th. Would you point someplace here where you say it was September 26th when you called her?
Yeah, it's not the 26th, it's 9/7. That's when it was picked up.
Says it was 9/7.
It's not my question to you, sir. Mr. Tuttle, this is not going to be a happy day for you, sir. I want you to remember that. The police report indicates that the car broke down, stolen, on September 8th. According to your receipt here that somebody signed, you got a message that the car was to be towed on September 7th.
Correct.
That was the day before it broke down. Why would they want their car towed the day before it broke down?
We had a backup person filling in for the lady that was sick on that day, and she filled out all the information there.
Well, she filled it out wrong.
Yeah, obviously.
So this is what the case is about. You didn't contact her until October, which you could have done. You could have contacted her immediately when you towed the car. You chose not to do that. You kept the car for a month. Then you called her and you wanted $600 to get the car out of your impound, plus $85 for towing. You proved to me that she called you, sir, to pick up the car. Prove it.
Somebody called that tow in.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I think that that's the way you do business. You cruise up and down, and you take somebody's car, and then you wait and build up a bill, and you say, well, this car's probably worth $600, $700. I'll wait until I get up to that point, and then I'm going to give them a buzz, and they'll want their car back. The only problem is the plaintiff had already replaced the car because she didn't know who had it. And this car, according to the plaintiff, had an orange ticket on it. What does that mean?
Police have came by it and tagged it.
Tagged it that said what?
That it's been tagged. That they notice that it's there.
You indicate in your papers that the police officer is a witness. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Where's the police officer?
She's here today.
I'd like to see her, please.
Quiet.
Officer, would you raise your right hand, please? You swear to tell the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Deputy Jane Ruckold.
You know this young man?
Yes, I do.
Did you respond to his situation when his car broke down?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember when that was?
On September 8th at approximately 4:00 p.m.
Not September 7th.
No.
No. And what did you do to the car?
If I can, I was westbound on Interstate 80 when I saw a white vehicle with its hood up on the right-hand side. I approached the vehicle, asked him if he needed help. He said yes. He was obviously broke down. His cell phone was dead. I offered him my cell phone, and at 4:02, this is a copy of my cell phone It's highlighted the number he called. He told me he was calling his mother. And before I left, I took a tape such as this one, and I attached it to his antenna. And this is the tape that all law enforcement uses. And this indicates that the vehicle has been checked by law enforcement to save them time so they don't go through and do the work again. I asked Joshua if he would be okay waiting for his mother. I gave him some safety instructions. And then I cleared the call at approximately 4:07. This is a copy of my report. I also have a copy of the stolen vehicle that was entered through our department.
How long have you been a police officer?
I've been a deputy for 14 years.
You familiar with tow truck operators that go up and down the highway to pick up cars?
I've heard of such. We have a contract, though, so I'm not involved with them.
You aware of the fact, though, that tow truck operators who are not authorized sometimes pick up cars along the road? I mean, I'm a citizen. I know what it's about.
Correct.
And he knows what it's about. Picked up the car and did the wrong thing. Didn't contact the owner and try to extort $600 from her. That's exactly what you did. What's the name of your company?
Tuttle, Auto Body and Towing.
Tuttle. Trucks have your name on the side? Tuttle. Keep an eye out for Tuttle.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The office called me
Baloney.
and told me to pick up a white Ford Escort
Baloney.
on I-80
Baloney.
near the Eldridge exit.
More baloney.
And later today,
Stand up. Take out your wallet. Take out your driver's license.
I don't have a license.
Sit down.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Suzanne Otts and her son Joshua Phillips claim tow company owner Michael Tuttle illegally towed their car after it broke down.
Mr. Tuttle, not only can't you give me a witness, because this happened, according to all your paperwork, the day before it happened, something like a bad Bill Murray movie.
Yep.
But I know what happened, and you had a responsibility to contact this lady on the 8th or the 9th. You chose not to do that. She did not call you. That's a lie. And anybody that you present to me that says that they took a call from this lady is a liar. And if that's who that is, he doesn't want to stand up here. I guarantee it. So you're going to pay her for her car, and you're going to give her her $85 back that you extorted from her. She paid $400 for the car, which was a lemon to begin with because it broke down a few weeks later. But it was her lemon, and you had absolutely no right to take it. Do you have anything you want to say to me, Mr. Tuttle?
Yep. That's
Go
wrong.
ahead.
That's wrong.
I'm listening.
Well, somebody made that call in there. We don't travel Iowa. We don't even go into Iowa. We're an Illinois tow company. So somebody called us over to Iowa to go over and pick that car up.
Show me.
I got paper that somebody called us over there.
You mean somebody was just driving by and called your company that's in another jurisdiction, somebody, and then nobody came and got it?
Somebody made that call, ma'am.
Nobody made the call, Mr.
Yes,
Tuttle.
they did.
Nobody made the call.
We don't travel Iowa for no reason.
Mr. Tuttle, nobody made the call. Who was the
Okay.
tow truck operator?
He's the operator.
Who called?
The office called me, ma'am.
The office from the lady who wrote down the wrong date on the paperwork? Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Baloney.
The office called me.
Baloney.
I was returning from a call
Baloney.
and told me to pick up a white Ford Escort
Baloney.
on I-80
Baloney.
near the Eldridge exit.
More baloney. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $480. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Very angry. He stole the car. He blatantly stole the car, kept it for a month,
No, ma'am, we did not steal your car. If
tried to get money out of us to get it.
we're going to steal something, it's going to be more valuable than a 91 Escort.
Glad it's over, and don't call Tuttle.
Baloney.
And now the next case.
All litigants involved in the case of Herrera versus Ponce, step forward, please.
27-year-old Sabrina Herrera is suing her mother, Christina Ponce, for the return of car payments on a 91 Camry. Sabrina says her mother illegally repossessed the vehicle.
Ms. Herrera, this is your mom. According to what I read in your complaint, you purchased a car. It was titled in your mother's name. She paid for the car.
No.
She didn't put down any money on the car.
No.
Did you put down any money on the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did you put down on the car?
1,000.
Okay, and this was your agreement. Your agreement was for it to really be your car. You were going to make the monthly payments on the car,
Right.
even though the car was titled in your mother's name. But it was your car, and as soon as the monthly payments were completed, the car would be yours, the title would be yours.
Right.
At some point, you and your mother had a falling out.
Right.
You had made all the payments on the car.
Right.
Your mother doesn't dispute that. You had a falling out. You'll tell me why. It was something over your daughter.
Right.
And your mother took back the car.
Right.
So you want your mom to give you back all the money that you put into it because she breached the contract she had with you.
Right.
You look at me as if I'm not talking.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So that's what the case is about. Your mother says that you did, in fact, breach the contract with her because she allowed this car to be purchased in her name, using her credit. The car was for you and for her grandchildren. And she was annoyed that, A, you were disrespectful to her when you had this argument over your daughter, and B, she saw the boyfriend. I assume that that's the boyfriend.
That's my
driving,
husband.
or husband. Well, it's a new husband, right?
Got married in April.
She was annoyed because she saw him driving the car. And he wasn't supposed to be driving the car. It was just for you. Okay. Now you're going to tell me when you took back the car and under what circumstances, Miss Ponce.
Okay. When I bought my daughter the car, she was a single parent with 2 kids. I never knew that she got married. And I paid for the insurance. I went in there. I went to the credit union. I put the money down. What she did is the previous car I owned, I gave to her for her and my grandkids. As soon as she sold that car, she put the rest of the money on the car payment. Now, I was telling her not to be letting him drive the car. I have the insurance in my name. I've been paying the insurance payment since I got the car for her. He has no insurance. He had no license. And every time I seen him drive it, I would just tell her, Sabrina, he's not supposed to be driving.
How do you know he has no license?
Well, because my daughter said, being that he has kids, the judge took the license away because of child support. And being...
Stand up. Take out your wallet. Open your wallet. Take out your driver's license.
I don't have a license.
Sit down. Why did you let him drive the car without a driver's license?
He has a permit.
Stand up. Go over there. Take out the permit.
It's in there.
See it?
I have it. They obviously didn't put it in the files.
Listen to me. You don't have it. Here to show me you don't have it. When the state takes away your driver's license because you failed to pay child support, they take it away because they want to punish you. They don't take it away and give you authorization to drive, especially when your mother's covering the car on her insurance. I was very sympathetic to you, I have to tell you. When I read this, I was about to say to you, you can't take the car away because the boyfriend was driving the car. She's making her monthly payments. She's entitled to, allow a boyfriend to drive her car occasionally or a friend to drive as long as the person has a license and is acting responsibly. But you can't let somebody without a driver's license drive your car. Can't do it.
Yeah, but he has a permit.
Listen to me. When the state takes away your driver's license because you failed to pay child support, they take it away so that you can't drive a car.
But she never even cared before about that.
Now she cares.
Now she cares.
Now she cares. I'm getting less sympathetic with you. Let's get to this incident. Then, Miss Ponce, you say, you were babysitting for your granddaughter?
Yeah, my granddaughter, she means a lot to me. And she came to spend the weekend with me. And that day I had to work. I'm a caterer. I work pretty much a lot. And we went shopping. When we got back, my granddaughter was eating. She broke her tooth. And when she broke her tooth, I called my daughter up and I told her, Sabrina, you have to take Destiny to the dentist, that she's crying because her tooth was hanging. And she says, well, I don't have time. I'm leaving. And I'm going, well, where are you going? And she says, we're going to go out to eat. And I go, well, can't you just take Jessie, through a drive-through and you take your daughter to the dentist? And she said, no. She says, we want to sit down and eat. And then I said, well, you know what? You got your priorities mixed up. Don't ever have any more kids if you can't take care of my baby girl.
Perfect.
Then she told me, she goes, well, you know what? She goes, I'm going to take her to the dentist. But she goes, and I'm going to come and get her. But you're not allowed to see her no more. Don't call her. And don't even... And see, I can't. My baby girl means everything to me.
How old is she?
She's 7.
Have you seen her since?
Yeah, she allowed her to come with me on Thanksgiving.
Great. Okay.
Well, the thing is that she called me up and she told me that my daughter broke her tooth. I asked her, can you please, I go, can you take her? Because she's really close to her and she can tame her. She can relax her. I can't because she's just really too close to her. And I said, you know what? I said, can you please do it? And she said no. So she told me.
Just a second. What day of the week was that? Do you remember?
It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday. Okay. Were you working?
Yes, ma'am.
You just come home from work. What were you doing?
What was I doing? We're getting ready to go eat dinner.
What had you been doing during the day?
Just
Nothing.
cleaning. Just cleaning and stuff.
Nothing. You
Taking
were
care of
hanging
my
around
kids.
your house. Why should your mother, who's worked on Sunday, take your daughter to the dentist when you've been doing but hanging around with, what's his name?
My husband.
Whatever, Mr. No License. What do you do for a living?
I stay home because I'm not supposed to really work right now because I have a heart condition.
How many children do you have?
I have 3.
How old are they?
7. One just turned 4. That's my son, and 5.5-month-old.
When were you diagnosed with a heart condition?
When I was pregnant with my daughter.
Is this the 7-year-old?
No, the 5.5-month-old baby.
And what does he do for a living?
He was working, what is it, like in the freezer of 7-Eleven.
Who was paying this $221 a month?
I was.
From
well,
what?
at the time, he
From
was
just
working.
a second. From what?
At the time, he was working. Now he's
Listen,
not working.
now you have 3 children, and he doesn't look like he can earn enough so he can feed himself. So you're not telling me that he had an extra $221 a month to pay for a car?
But at the time, he was.
You get
He
any
was
assistance?
working.
Do you get any assistance?
Yes.
That's my baby. Then you say, I get assistance.
I get
and it's from the assistance that you were paying the $221 a month.
But actually, it was from him.
Actually, he
Because
was paying.
he-
Actually,
because
he was paying
working.
for your car. You're not
Actually, he
entitled to
was
the money
working.
back from your car. You can't afford a car. You have 3 children and
But I have my
one
receipts
person
and stuff.
working.
But I have my receipt showing that I...
Your mother does not have to maintain a car while you let somebody drive the car who has no insurance. And the insurance is in her name. You did the wrong thing.
But she
You're
was-
not getting your money back. Do you understand?
But-
Period. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
That's case number 44 on the calendar.
I'm her mother.
Why don't you have a seat for a minute, please? How old are you?
17.
Your mother's close enough, right?
Mhm.
You don't feel threatened by me in any way, do you?
No, ma'am.
That's a big mistake. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And this is your?
Mother.
According to your complaint, Miss Willis, the defendant is a friend of yours.
An ex-friend, yes.
Well, she was a very
old
good
friend.
friend of yours. And somehow she gave you a couple of checks that she asked you to cash for her.
Right.
You went into the bank, you cashed the checks for her. According to you, you gave her the money with the exception of $50
Right,
that she had owed you from previously. And then you were notified that these were stolen checks by your bank, and your account was charged for the money, and you want her to pay you back.
I do.
Now, I couldn't quite get everything that you were saying, Miss Thorpe, but according to you, you had stolen the checks, but she stole them from you. 2 checks. And you have no idea what she did with those checks. Is that right?
That's right.
So why don't we start with a story like once upon a time. Once upon a time, I was driving in the car with my friend.
Well, no.
Then just tell me.
Okay.
Let's go. Once upon a time.
Okay, once upon a time, last May 23rd, we were at a graduation practice. She asked me if I could cash a couple checks for her, saying she did not have her ID, and I asked her if she had a bank account she could cash them out. She said she didn't. So, you know, she's a friend of mine. I did it.
When did she give you the checks?
When we were at the bank.
How did you get to the bank?
I drove.
And how did she get to the bank?
She drove.
So you park your car at the bank. We're going to follow this. You know, we're once upon a time now. We're once upon a time. You've gone from graduation into the car. She follows you to your bank. You park your car. She parks her car. And you walked up to her car.
I walked up to her car to get the checks. I sat down in her car. Then I went inside and...
So she handed you the 2 checks.
Right.
What did they say?
I didn't pay a lot of attention to what the checks looked like, to be quite honest. I did ask her where they were from, what they were for. She told me that they were back child support from her boyfriend's ex-wife.
At any time previous to going to the bank, did you discuss with her how much the checks were for?
I think I asked her when we got there. They're for $47 each, and I looked.
When you looked at the checks, was that the first time you saw what the amount was?
I don't remember whether I asked her at the graduation practice how much they were.
Well, you're not a stupid person, are you?
No, I'm not stupid. I honestly just
You're not a
don't
stupid
remember.
person. Because you have a bank account. How much money did you have in your bank account?
At the time, I had $603, and
So if somebody had asked you to cash checks for them in the amount of $2,000, you couldn't have done that, right?
Right, right.
So you had to have asked, well, how much are the checks for?
I don't remember. I was very naive. I didn't, at that point, I did not know that you had to have that much amount in your bank.
Did you hear what I said? You don't look naive.
I don't look now, but I've learned a lot since then. I have.
You mean in the few short months you've learned a whole bunch?
Just about this, about cashing checks, about banks.
Where did you get your money from to put in the bank?
From my job.
What kind of job?
I worked at an ice cream parlor.
So you knew enough to open up a bank account? Did you open it up by yourself or with your mother?
My dad, I've had it since I was 13 years old.
Great, so you know how to go in there?
Right.
So you know how to make deposits? Did you ever withdraw any money from the bank?
I did. Yeah.
Make out a withdrawal slip.
Mm-hmm. Well, no.
You don't live on Mars.
I didn't. I never used a withdrawal slip at my bank. It was a savings account. All I did was give them my Social Security number, ask for the amount, and I had to sign.
So what were these two checks made out for?
$447.50 each. And the reason I believed her about the child support is prior to this, a month before, she told me she was expecting a check for about $500, and she told me that is what she was going to pay me my $50 back for.
You have a
This was
child?
the beginning of May.
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Well, what are these 447?
I have
And
copies of
shh.
this. I'm sorry.
What is this 447 child support? What is that about?
Your Honor, I have no idea.
No idea. You have a boyfriend who gets child support?
I do have a boyfriend, yes.
Does he get child support?
Yes, he does.
Why does he get child support?
Because him and his wife were separated.
How old is he?
32.
And he has a child that he has custody of?
Yes.
And how old are you?
17.
Who is this?
This is
I'm the boyfriend.
You're the boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
How long has this been your girlfriend?
Just over a year.
Just over a year. You don't think she's a little young for you, do you?
I didn't plan it that way, Your Honor.
How much do you get in child support from your ex-wife?
About $50 a week. I have custody of both of my children.
$50 a week for each child?
No, ma'am.
Both?
Yes,
Both children. You get that by the month?
I get weekly. I get it weekly if she put
Let me see a
dollars
copy
to
of the
pay me.
checks.
And it's usually in cash.
Your Honor, Eric was the person that the checks were stolen from. I was convicted and charged for checks already.
You were charged and convicted.
Charged and convicted for 3 checks prior. I had stole them. I went down to the police station.
Where did you steal them from?
I stole them from Eric.
Who is he?
An old friend.
Of whose?
Of mine and my mother's.
How did you get his checks?
I went over there one day and I found them laying outside next to his truck, like they had fallen out of his truck, and I picked them up.
Why?
Stupidity.
And what'd you do after you picked them up?
I had gone and cashed a few checks, and
How many did you cash?
I was charged with 3 of them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tiffany, that's her, you know, with the belly button showing, advised that Stephanie wanted $50 to cash them, and she was given that amount.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Willis says former friend Tiffany Thorpe owes for 2 checks she cashed on her behalf. Stephanie says the checks turned out to be stolen.
You walked into the bank, Miss Willis,
Right.
and you see these checks that are made out for $447.50.
Right.
They're not made out to anybody.
No, they were not made out to anybody. At the time, I was having a conversation with the teller at my bank. I was in a hurry to get somewhere, but I asked him. I got up, going out to ask Tiffany to sign them and ask why they were not made out to anybody. I turned around at that point and asked him if it would be all right if I did it myself, or
Why?
if it would matter, because I was in a hurry to get to see someone.
You know,
that
I don't
see
believe you
often.
either.
Huh?
I don't believe you either. I don't believe her. I don't believe you.
Okay.
Miss Willis, you want to know why it doesn't sound right to me?
Yes.
She says, could you cash these checks for me? They're being given to my boyfriend from his ex-wife for child support. Then they would have been made out to him. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Especially if you tell me that his name, Eric, is written on the bottom of the check. Did you write his name too?
No, I did not. Tiffany
So that
did.
was there.
Right.
Who wrote that?
Tiffany did.
Did you see that?
I did not, but I know her handwriting. I've known her for 4.5 years. And I
So
know
you
her
know that this
handwriting.
is her handwriting?
Yes.
So now you
Specifically,
know the following.
look at the dotted
Now
I.
you know the following. You know that she forged his name.
Right.
And you knew that when you were at the bank.
No.
Oh, yeah,
No.
You knew of
Not
4
at the
years at
bank.
that
I'm
point.
sorry. I'm sorry. Not at the bank. I was not aware of that. At
Why
the
not?
bank, I assumed. I did not know the circumstances following the checks, and I assumed that she had gotten it from a friend of hers or perhaps her lover. I did not ask, and I was not sure. But at this point, I knew Tiffany, and we were very good friends for 4.5 years. I had no reason not to believe her.
I'll hear you.
Well, on that day, we did go for my graduation practice, and we were sitting there, and Stephanie was sitting in the car, and I had the checkbook sitting there in the council, and she had asked me what it was, and I had told her that they were stolen checks. And then we went to the gas station.
When you say she asked you what they were and you said they were stolen checks, are you telling me that she didn't say, where did you steal them from, whose are they? Nothing.
No, Your Honor.
She asked you nothing?
No. She just asked me what they were.
And you said stolen checks?
Yes, I told her.
Go
They were
ahead.
Stolen checks. We went to the gas station about 2 blocks away so I can get gas. And then I went inside to pay, and when I came back out, she told me that she needed to be dropped back off at her car. So I dropped her back off at the car, and I went home. And about a week later, she came knocking on my boyfriend's door and was talking to him about some sort of checks.
Step up.
Well, Your Honor.
Name.
My name's Timothy S. Brown.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with the plaintiff.
May of 2000, Stephanie had stopped at my house on 3 different occasions. The first occasion, she came in my home and told me that she had gotten some checks from Tiffany that were stolen. This is the time I just found out about the whole stolen check situation. We were only dating for a couple months at the time. She told me that she had gotten some checks from Tiffany and deposited them in her account, and that she said that Tiffany said they were for child support. I knew at that time that something was wrong because I get cash from my ex-wife.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
And what was her reaction?
All she said that she got the checks from Tiffany, and that Tiffany said they were for child support. And
Was
that,
she crying?
No, she was upset.
Was she
You know,
upset?
she was kind of scared because she told me that her mother, her parents are involved in the bank account somehow, and she wanted to get it taken care of before her parents found out about it.
So that was the first time she came
Right.
to your house, and then?
I talked to Tiffany about it. At this time, Tiffany was denying the whole thing to me because she didn't want me to find out about it.
So Tiffany lied?
She lied to me about it, yeah.
And then she lied to her mother, too?
At the time, yes.
She lied?
You know.
Now, when she lied, did you believe her?
No, I was really skeptical about the whole thing, you know, from the start.
So initially, when she told you that she didn't know what this friend was talking
Right.
about.
I had my suspicions. I had contacted her mother to talk about the situation, to find out if she knew anything about it.
And her mother said?
No, she didn't, and, you know, reassured me that her daughter wouldn't do anything like that.
Okay. Step up a second. Sure. When your daughter told you what happened, she initially told you she didn't know what she was talking about. Is that right?
Well, when Stephanie came to me, and Stephanie told me a story that Tiffany gave her 2 checks and that they were for babysitting that Tiffany had done for somebody, and that she cashed those checks for Tiffany. But she didn't say anything about child support to me. She said it was babysitting money. That's what Tiffany had told her.
Is that right?
So,
I don't remember telling her that.
Your Honor, we have in a police report statement here, it's the statement that Tiffany had made to the police.
Let me see it. You told the police that you gave her 2 checks, madam. You told the police that you gave her 2 checks to cash.
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Your name is Tiffany, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Tiffany advised that she had given 2 checks to a Stephanie Willis for her to cash. You mean the police made a mistake?
When I went and confessed to the police officers that I had taken the checks from Eric, they had asked me, but Stephanie's checks were not in the bunch, because the checks had never cleared his bank.
I'm asking you a question. The police wrote this down. Tiffany advised that she had given 2 checks to Stephanie Willis for her to cash. Is what you're telling me that the police either mistakenly wrote this down or that you lied to the police?
I told the police officers that I had not given Stephanie any checks.
So that, according to you, the police officers wrote it down. Put your hand down. The police officers wrote it down wrong.
Obviously, yes, Your Honor.
Listen to this, Bird. You have to listen to this. This officer who took this report from this 17-year-old psychopath must have been doing something that day to make himself feel happy, because he too is writing a once upon a time story, according to her. Let me tell you what else he wrote. Reporting officer asked Tiffany about the 2 checks that she gave to Stephanie Willis. Tiffany advised that the 2 checks were for $447.50 each. Tiffany, that's her, you know, with the belly button showing. Tiffany advised that she filled out the checks but left the pay to blank. Tiffany advised that she had Stephanie put her name in the blank. Tiffany advised that Stephanie cashed the checks and gave her the money. Tiffany, Miss Exposed Belly Button, advised that Stephanie wanted $50 to cash them, and she was given that amount.
But
the
$50, which...
Shut!
Okay.
Is she getting therapy? Is she in therapy and counseling?
After all this happened, I had 3 counselors involved, as a matter of fact.
Does she live at home with you?
Yes, she does now.
And what about him?
Well, actually, let me tell you the whole story.
Dying to hear this story. I thought this was easy.
Actually, I was very much against this relationship because of
That's
the
a very
great
good
age
thing.
difference. And at one point, I even got the authorities involved. I called social services, got a counselor involved, and I tried everything in my power to keep them apart. The only thing that accomplished is put a wedge between my daughter and my relationship. So I decided the worst thing that I could have done was to try to interfere with that relationship. And so I choose not to any longer interfere with it at all.
Okay. Now, but she's living at home?
Yes.
What about him?
He is staying there temporarily
In
with
your
his
house?
2 children, yes, actually.
You know, there's one thing about not interfering, and there's another thing, and, you know, she's 17 years old.
Right.
I don't believe her mother is responsible for this $950.
Correct.
And since she's 17 years old, I cannot find her libel. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? The only way that I can find her liable is if I make her mother responsible. She is, I believe you. I believe that you got suckered in by her. And I believe that she is a liar. I believe that she continues to lie. I believe that she's probably in a relationship that she shouldn't be in. I believe that her mother is caught between a rock and a hard place. But I think that her mother being caught in a rock and a hard place does not put her mother in a position where she is responsible for the forgery and the theft by her daughter to you. Because I, too, believe that you have had a certain responsibility, and that was to be a little more vigilant. Not put your name on these checks when it was clear that they couldn't have been for child support, because child support checks would have been made out to him for the 2 children. Not
I had no experience with that.
Not
the story
blank.
she gave me, I had no reason.
Well, you
not
should have
to
been more
trust
vigilant.
her.
Certainly,
I
her
should
mother
have.
could.
I should
Certainly, her mother could not have known.
Right.
And in order for me to find in your favor against this side of the table, I have to rule that her mother is responsible for paying you back, and I cannot, in good conscience, do that.
Neither could I.
I can't hold her responsible. She's 17. I mean, I wish I could, but I can't. So you're going to have to cover these checks yourself and be a little more vigilant. I feel sorry for you. I really do. I really don't know what I would do in your situation.
It's a difficult situation. I didn't know what else to do either.
This is case number 315 on the calendar in the matter of Haig versus Webster. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Haig, this gentleman used to be your son-in-law. He's married to your daughter, and they have 2 children. Is that right?
Yes.
You are suing him for the balance owed on a washer and dryer that was purchased on your credit in 1994 when the defendant and your daughter were married. You bought it for about $1,000 from Sears. Is that right?
Yes.
And they were to pay off so much per month for the remainder of their natural lives. Well, then there came a time later on that you and your husband decided to buy a 2-family house with your daughter and her husband. And you did. In what year did you buy this 2-family house?
1995.
And in that 2-family house, 4 of you and the 2 grandchildren, also came the washer and dryer, which I assumed you all used. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there came some marital difficulty. And in the year, according to what I've read here, 2000, your daughter left.
Yes.
And Mr. and Mrs. Haig, you stayed in the house for a while. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you decided to buy them out of the house.
Yes.
Now, so from 1995 until 2002, This house was owned jointly, and everybody used the washer and dryer. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Webster, when your former wife left you, what happened to the children?
They stayed with me and I take care of them.
And they're two boys?
Yes.
And how old were the children at the time?
3 and 5.
Was there a custody trial with regard to the children?
Yes. I mean, in the divorce. Yes, in the divorce.
So your former wife did at some point request custody of the children?
No. No,
She didn't. She did
no,
not?
No. She got remarried and went on her own life.
Okay. So there was never a dispute as to who would have custody of the children? Did there ever come a time when you had problems with your in-laws?
No, not until I couldn't take it no more at the house with them at the house and everything. So
What do you mean you couldn't take it anymore?
it was just him not working, me paying more money than I'd had to, me just paying more and more and more money. Something had to be done, and that's why I bought them out. And I thought that was going to be it.
How much money did they get when you bought them?
Exactly $23,900.
How much money did you put in, sir, as a down payment on the house?
$6,500.
And you walked away with $24,000, is that right?
That's right.
It was a good investment.
Yes, it was a very good investment.
So now let me ask you this question. What in the world are you doing here? You have 2 grandchildren that he's taking care of. That washer and dryer was paid over the last 8 years. There's no question about that. $25 here, $50 there. Everybody used the washer and dryer. The whole washer and dryer cost $1,000 8 years ago. You just closed a property where he's living with your grandchildren, and you made a handsome profit. You explain to me why, under those circumstances, you people would be foolhardy enough to come to court and sue him.
Okay, number one, the bill wasn't paid.
Why didn't you pay it? You lived there, you used the washer and dryer. Why didn't you pay it?
Because I got sick.
Well, that's not his fault. He's got
no,
2
that
children
is
to take
not-
care of. You're
that
not
is-
his child.
that-
You got sick, you got sick.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with me? Or him? Or your 2 grandchildren if you got sick?
Well, I got sick, and when I got sick, I told him that I wanted to sell the house before we got into this financial problem. He did not want to sell the
Just
house.
a second. You wanted to sell the house after your daughter left?
Yes, right after, actually before my daughter left, I wanted to sell the house.
He lives there with your grandchildren.
I wanted to have him buy me out or sell the house so that I didn't have any obligations in the house because I went 3 years without getting any money.
So?
And I told him I couldn't afford to pay all the payments.
So he paid. Just
and
a minute. So he paid. What you couldn't pay, he paid. Is that what you're telling me?
Not all of it.
I don't care all of it. I don't care a piece of it. He's taking care of your 2 grandchildren. You're not related to him by blood. Your daughter goes and takes off with somebody else, remarries, has a happy life. He's staying there. He's watching your 2 grandchildren. He's got to take care of you. He's got to take care of your wife. And now you have the audacity to come to court and want a washer and dryer that you bought in 1994 that the whole family used? I don't understand you, Mr. Haig. Is there something wrong with you?
No, there isn't.
There's a lot wrong with you.
No, there isn't.
Oh, yeah, there is. Go ahead. You have 30 seconds to convince me, sir.
Okay, when we first bought it, they took and they paid all the bills. Chris and Deborah paid the bills.
Just a minute. Chris and Deborah, where was Deborah working?
At Safeway.
She was working after the 2 children were born?
Yes.
Full time?
Part-time.
What was he doing?
He was working full-time as a carpenter.
So he's working full time, she's working part time at Safeway, and you're not
That's right.
working at all.
And I was working part-time myself, and in some
So the only one working full time is him?
That's right.
All right.
Now, I told him that I was getting worse than what because of my condition. I told him that I wanted to liquidate my part of the house so that he wasn't responsible for me. And he did not want to sell the house. He did not want to buy the house. He said he would make up the difference in the bills. I sat down and I explained to him that when we sold the house, or when I got my SSDI, that I would pay him back.
So how much did you pay him back?
I paid him
$600.
I paid him back all the money that we owed.
Oh, did he pay you back?
No.
How much did he give you?
Okay. It came down to where I offered him $20,000 for a buyout. He wanted $25,000. And it got knocked down. I paid for the $2,500 when we all bought the house together. He got that out of me. Everything that they ever put anything in downstairs, money-wise, I gave him $1,500 because they spent $3,000. I gave him $1,500. And then he told me that he wanted me to sign and pay for this washer and dryer. At the time, I was just giving him so much money and just wanted him out of my life so that I can start over and just be alone with my boys. I just said, okay, and then I never signed nothing. I just said
I don't
no.
know whether you signed anything or not. You paid him back. You
I paid
say
him a
what
lot
you
more.
owed him by decreasing the amount that you should have gotten when you sold the house?
Yes.
Okay, you still made a handsome profit when you sold the house. So instead of making $24,000, maybe you should have made $30,000, right? Fine. You still made a handsome profit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have the opportunity to be there and participate in the rearing of your grandchildren. What a gift that could be if you were nice people.
And later today,
When the landlord showed up the 20th to get rent, he saw holes in the walls that they left in their room and in the door.
Did you make any holes in the walls?
No, ma'am, I did not. Her and her boyfriend be fighting all the time. That's where the holes came from.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald and Donna Haig claim ex-son-in-law Chris Webster owes for the cost of a washer and dryer. Chris says the Haigs have been ignoring their grandchildren.
Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Haig, do you see your grandchildren?
Right now, no.
Why is that?
Because we don't see him.
I'm asking you why.
Because the feelings between him and I,
What kind of feelings?
it's bad.
Why?
I don't
Over
understand.
What? Over what?
Over the payment. Because
Over
he
the washer dryer?
Over the washer and dryer. And also, when I went to talk to him about it, he called the cops up, and the cops told me not to come back to the house. Because if I came back to the house, I would be arrested.
Okay. Now, why don't they see their grandsons?
I have no idea. His birthday, my 8-year-old son, Brandon, his birthday was this past Monday. Not one card, not one phone call, not nothing.
Did you send your grandson a birthday present?
Yes, I did.
You sent him a birthday present?
I sent him a card. Yes, I did.
Card. Children like cards. They like presents. Why didn't you send him a birthday present?
Because I had put money in the card for his birthday present.
I don't believe that at all. Listen, if I construe this as a debt, I construe it as a joint debt. As far as I'm concerned, that debt should have been over. Certainly, 8 years later, the statute of limitations has run on that debt in any jurisdiction. And in this court, we use the doctrine of latches, which means if you sit on your laurels and you don't collect the debt, then it's forgiven. More importantly, I don't understand why grandparents, when they have a daughter who takes off, starting a new life, mothers usually don't do that, that are wrapped too tight. Got 2 little boys that she leaves with the father. You're living with the father, so you have the opportunity to be there and participate in the rearing of your grandchildren. What a gift that could be if you were nice people. What a wonderful opportunity that would be for you, madam, to say, look, my daughter's not here full-time. I got the 2 little boys. He's a carpenter. He works full-time. You know, I can be here. I can help shop and cook and take care of the boys if I want to. You're worried about a washer and dryer purchased in 1994. Your priorities are all screwed up, and I have no time for you. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back.
I'm just glad it's over.
I don't think it was fair.
I don't know how much more money I have to pay.
I'm very upset about it.
Anytime they ever want to do anything with the grandkids,
Oh, I'd like to be part of their lives.
all they have to do is just call.
I want to see everybody together, except I don't want nothing to do with Chris.
And now the next case.
Versus Marquise. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
The 2 of you met, according to what I read, at the place where you both work, which is at a hotel,
Correct.
and dated briefly for about a 3-month period. And Mr. Shiverdicker, during that time, you allege that you loaned the defendant some money to fix her car.
Yes, Your Honor.
You broke up. You want your money back. She says that the money that you spent on the car was not a loan, was a gift. And she is counterclaiming for a television set, which he has that belongs to you, and then for some nonsense about defamation of character. All right, so let's start. When did you give her this money for the car?
It was within the 3 months, January, February, March. I just kept putting money into her car because her car kept breaking down.
Well, let's start with the first time you gave her money to put in the car. How did that come about?
She was like, it was January 24th, I think, I believe, and she was having car problems and stuff like that. She has 2 children, so she kept coming to my house and stuff. Her car was breaking down, so I figured that I'd be a nice guy, give her some money, help her fix her car. She said she was getting a tax check in. She'd give me the money back from the tax check when she got it in.
That's
So
not true.
I just,
Just a minute. Tell me the exact conversation, sir. She called you and said she was having car trouble. What kind of car trouble was she having?
starter was going in her car.
That was the first problem?
No, the first problem was the windshield was broken in her car.
Oh. So let's get to the windshield. Did she call your house and tell you she needed it, or were you out together and she told you she needed money?
No, we were out together. We were talking about it.
And what did you say to her?
I just told her, she asked me about, she's driving around with the windshield cracked and stuff, and I told her that, you know, you should get that fixed before she gets pulled over with it.
Okay. You should get that fixed. And what did she say to you?
She said she would when she got a tax check money in.
She said, fine, I'm going to do that when I get
Right.
my tax check.
Right.
And you said to her,
I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it now. When you get your tax check, you can just give me the money so you don't have to have no problems until then.
and how much did you give her?
I went to the junkyard, picked up a windshield that was $50, and then I went to a glass place like a week later and had it put in for her.
And how much did they charge you at the glass place?
$60.
Did you consult her about any of these costs?
Yeah, she said she'll take care of it once you got a tax check.
You keep saying that. Had you told her you were going to a junkyard?
Yes.
Is that right?
He told me he'd call a couple junkyards and find prices. And I told him to get prices and then notify me, and I was going to buy the windshield with my paycheck, not my tax check.
Okay, so you were planning to buy it?
I was planning to buy it, yes.
Okay. And you couldn't have gotten it cheaper than $50, could you?
I wasn't sure. He said it was his responsibility to look for me. I wasn't allowed to look myself. So he was supposed to call, get prices, and then notify me. I was going to pay him the money, and he was going to pick it up.
Okay. You picked it up, it was $50. Then you took the windshield and had it put in your car.
No, he brought me to a place that his friend owned. And
Just a second. Did you go to a place and have the windshield put in your car?
Yes.
And did you go with him?
Yes.
And did you know how much the cost was?
Yes, it was nothing. There were friends of his that owned the business. What he was initially going to do is he has full coverage in his vehicle. His friend was going to say that they were putting it on his truck and put on his tax as though his truck had the windshield put in it.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
No, it is not. And when we got there, the guy that did it, the owner of the shop, it was a place in Boston, said that, he said, don't worry about it. And then we left.
Okay. When was the next time you gave her money?
It was probably about, excuse me, about 2 weeks after that.
And what happened then?
Her car broke down, and she was tanning or something. Her car broke down, and as her starter, it was a starter. So she didn't have the money at the time for the, for the starter, so I told her.
Well, no, her car broke down. Did she call you?
Yeah. Yes, she did.
And what did she say when she called you?
She was yelling and upset about her car and saying she wanted to get rid of it. And so I told her I'd go pick her up and take care, see if I get the car running or whatever like that. So she said, don't worry about it. Her mother was going to pick her up or something like that. So she went and had it towed, or I don't know what she had done, but it was at her house. I told her I'd pick up a starter for her and have it put in for her.
Okay. And how much did that cost?
I believe the starter was $50, and the labor was like $115.
Do you have any
I got
bills for
the
that?
receipts right here, all the receipts.
Okay, I'd like to take a look at them. All right, and she gave you the car to go and have that done?
No, we went together and we dropped it off, and she
Is
went
that
over my
right?
house after.
Yes, we went together. I didn't talk to anybody. I wasn't allowed to go in the place. I had to wait in his truck while he went in and talked to the mechanic and stuff. So,
Don't tell me,
I mean,
Miss
I don't know what
Marquis, that
happened
you're not
in there.
allowed. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You're allowed to get in the car. You're allowed to get out of his car if he drove you there and take a bus home.
No, they're arguing, though. I mean...
So you argue. You don't get into his
It's a
car
lie,
in the
Your
first
Honor.
place.
It's not a lie.
Listen to me, Miss Marquis. I mean, I read your answer, and you said he was totally dominating you, and he wouldn't let you do anything. So just listen what you did. You complained to me that he totally dominated you when he went and got the windshield for your car and didn't ask you anything, and then totally dominated you when you went in to have the windshield put into the car, right? Then you don't accept, if that bothers you, then you don't accept his offers when he wants to put in a new starter for the car. What you say is, I'll take care of it myself.
And I did.
No, no, no. What you say is, I'll take care of it myself. I don't want to go with you. I don't want you to pick me up a starter. You didn't say that to him.
I told him that I would go and pay for it because he said his mechanic has been in the family a long time and was a good, reputable mechanic.
Are you not following what I'm saying to you? Is it not piercing through? If somebody you feel is trying to control your life, you don't put them in a situation where they can do that. Unless you want to accept things. Right?
Okay.
Now, what about this television set, Miss Marquis?
Before, when we started dating, my father had given me it's like a projection television set, and Lance came over and my father was saying how it had to be repaired. He said he knows a friend that can repair the TV, and that him and his friend would pick it up and bring it to his house because his friend lived in the same city, and that it would be fixed from then on. I don't think it's been fixed yet, and when I asked for it back, he said that my father and I gave it to him.
What happened was her father was buying a new big screen TV. He needed to get that TV out of the house. She said it was broken. She said, if you could do me a favor, I'd appreciate it if you could get the TV out of the house. I had a pickup truck. I said, yeah, I'll take care of it for you. She goes, you can do whatever you want with the TV. I don't care. I just need it out of the house.
That
She
sounds
gave it
right to me.
No.
That sounds right to me.
That's
Why
not
would I
right.
take a broken
Yeah,
TV
that's right.
and bring it to
It's
my
not
house?
right. You wanna know
I
why?
had to fix their
Why?
house.
Because you didn't bring a lawsuit until he sued you for the money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
But he wants it now, and you're no longer together.
That's why he wants it back.
So why don't you do it?
Because I offered to do that. If my
Oh, well, let's
television
offer
was-
again.
And later today,
She was my girlfriend at the time, so I figured, you know, romantic little weekend.
It's not romantic when she's paying.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lance Schipperdecker is suing former girlfriend Dawn Marquis for a loan. Dawn is countersuing Lance for ruining her reputation.
Who are you?
I'm his mother.
Step up. What's your last name?
Shiverdecker.
Shiverdecker, what do you know about this TV?
She was talking to my son on the phone, and he lives with me. And I even called her mom and told her mom that she could pick up the TV at any time. It was broken. It was of no use to us.
Where is the TV now? Just
It's at my house.
is it fixed?
No, it's not.
It's not fixed.
No.
So nobody did anything with it.
Correct.
Fine. Go get it.
Okay.
3 days from today. If you're not there after 3 days, he's going to fix it and have himself a TV. Sit down.
Your Honor, I have bank statements showing that the whole entire time I had over that amount of the money in the bank, including my my deposits with the checks. The second time he had the car repaired, my money was already in the bank, and he knows that because when I was sleeping, he went through my pocketbook and looked at all my bank
So
statements.
why don't you give him the money that he spent on your car?
Because when I tried to in the first place, I was writing a check and we were going to pick up the car. He told me no. He said, it's my responsibility. I'm taking care of it. He refused the money.
Well, but he wants it now, so why don't you give it to him?
Because he said not to worry about it
No.
before, so
Listen to
no.
me.
He said it's his
Listen to
responsibility.
me. But he wants it now, and you're no longer together.
That's why he wants it back.
So why don't you do it?
Because I offered to do that. If my
Oh, well, let's
television was
offer
returned-
again. You offer to give him back the money he spent for his car? For your car?
If my stuff was returned to me also.
Just what stuff?
My television.
You're
was the
going
main
to
thing.
pick that up in 3 days.
Okay.
What else?
That's the main thing, yeah, that's it.
That's the only thing. Good.
Your Honor.
Now let me see. Now, that's very good. So let me see the bills that you spent on a car.
And this is-
She wants to give it back to you.
This was a letter that she wrote me that I was...
She wants to give it back to you because that's the right thing to do, because she says you're annoying her at work. You're annoying her at work, and probably one of the reasons you're annoying her is that you feel as if she made a fool out of you by taking this money. Is that right?
Your Honor, I don't even see her at work. I don't talk to her at work.
$261. Now, you want to take care of the rest of this countersuit that you have, or defamation?
Yes. I work at the front desk at the hotel, and he works in the bar. People in the bar have been coming up to me.
Don't tell me what anybody's telling you from the bar.
I'm sorry, what?
Don't tell me what anybody's been telling you. That's hearsay.
Okay, well, he's at the bar telling people at the bar that,
How do you know what he's telling people at the bar?
a couple of the patrons and a police officer came to me
You
and asked me about
cannot
it.
tell me what anybody else said. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Good. Counterclaim is dismissed with the exception of the television set, which you will pick up in 3 days. If she doesn't pick it up within 3 days from today, you are free to do whatever you want with it. And I am awarding you $261 on your claim. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Subjected to people saying a lot of obnoxious rumors about me that aren't true, having to switch jobs and everything because of it, and him constantly beginning to harass me.
If there was any harassment, it was on her part.
On the calendar in the matter of Doss versus Trouser.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have a seat.
Miss Doss, would you take that off the bench, please? Put him on the floor. Miss Doss, this is your aunt and uncle?
Yes.
And your complaint alleges that they allowed their dog to be off-leash and in a situation that frightened you, which caused you to jump up on the hood of your car to escape the dog, causing damage to your car. you want them to be responsible for the damage to your car.
Yes.
Their defense is sort of that you overreacted to the puppy. Okay. Now, what kind of puppy do you have?
A pit bull.
And how old is the puppy?
About a year.
That's not a puppy anymore.
Or older.
Shh. A year isn't a puppy anymore. And is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
How much does he weigh?
About 40 pounds.
And you were going over to your aunt and uncle's house because it was your birthday?
It was.
So tell me what happened when you got there.
I would like to say, first of all, the dog is a vicious.
Listen to me. Tell me what happened when you got there.
I went over there, parked, got out the car, and went into my auntie house, which was the side door. I went in there, my aunt was not home, but my uncle and my little cousin, which is the witness over there, was there. And I was talking to my uncle, we left, we was happy to see each other. After me being over there maybe 10 minutes, my uncle asked me to let his son out the driveway because I was parked behind their vehicle. So when I went out there, I was just walking past their car to get to my car to let them out. And as I was passing the car, and the dog just jumped out of the car and got the...
How did it jump out of the car? Through?
He had the windows down.
Stand. Over. Move over. What's your first name?
Walter.
Walter. When did you get this dog?
A couple weeks before she came.
And who did you get it from?
My sister.
Did you pick the dog up from your sister's house?
Yes.
How did I know these things? It's like I live in your house, right?
Right.
Walter, how do you think I knew that you picked the dog up at your sister's house? How do you think I knew that? You think I have cameras? Think I have some sort of a globe that I can look in? You know how I know that you picked the dog up from someplace? Now, what was the dog doing out in your car?
I was putting him in the car to ride with me to grab my little cousin from the movies.
How long had your sister had the dog?
A couple months.
And where did your sister get the dog from?
Her baby father.
And how long had he had the dog before he gave it to your sister?
At birth. And he gave it to her
So
as a
he got
puppy.
the dog from birth. And then he gave it to your sister. Your sister had it for a couple of months and said, I can't handle it anymore, you take it. So you took it.
Yes.
And then without a leash, you put the dog in the car and left the windows open.
Yes.
Is anything that I said wrong?
No.
Sit. So, Mr. Trouser, when he brought this 8-month-old pit bull over to you, did you know he was bringing it?
Yes.
So you must have had a discussion with your daughter.
Yes.
And she had had the dog for 2-3 months, according to him, right?
Correct.
Why was she getting rid of the dog?
She just hit a baby.
And?
And she was working.
And?
And there was no one there to take care of the dog.
Well, who takes care of the baby?
We do.
We do.
Well, then she brings over the baby and the dog.
No, she brings over the baby. We went and got the dog.
Did she have the dog first or the baby first?
Right. She had the dog before when she was pregnant.
Genius.
Yes.
All right, I would like to see what kind of damage you did to this car from jumping up on the roof. Now, what'd the dog do when it jumped out of the window?
Got the jumping all over me, got the nibbling, like trying to bite me. He was going crazy. At some point, he latched on my feet, like at the bottom of my heel, and I just kind of, was trying to run and scoop, because my car was literally right behind his car. So that was the nearest thing I could, grab from this dog to get off of me once he latched into my shoe. As he snatched my shoe off, I jumped on the hood of my car. He proceeded to jump on my car, jump off, slide off the car. I was just lucky enough that I had my sunroof open in my car, and I had to dive head first into my sunroof. At that point, the dog was jumping on and off the car, running around my car, trying to get me. He didn't have on a collar nor a leash, so they couldn't get the dog. It's hard to get a dog if you don't have anything to grab onto. So it took him like 5 minutes. If I'm not mistaken, I'm sure his son ran and got something, maybe a rope or something.
What did you do?
I grabbed the dog. I grabbed the dog.
How did you grab the dog?
With my hand.
How? Around?
She hid to the hood of her car. As I was getting out the car, she had dropped her phone. I noticed that the dog was attacking her. So by the time she made it to her car, I was trying to kicking the dog away from her as he was still trying to play with her because he really is a family dog. But as you know, as he sees her jumping around and moving, so he just see reactions. And I just grabbed him, took him in the house and locked him up.
Where'd you lock him?
In his cage.
How long does he stay in his crate?
Just over the night.
Don't you have a leash and collar for him?
Yes.
Why wasn't he wearing it?
He did have a leash.
Why wasn't he wearing it?
He was.
So that would have been easy for you to grab him by the leash.
Yes.
But you didn't grab him by a leash.
No, he didn't have a chain. He had a leash on.
Collar.
Collar.
Talking about his collar. Collar is different from a leash.
Yeah. Okay.
Sit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What do you do for a living?
I work at a group home.
Stay there. Don't go to law school, because you're not getting it. You're stubborn-headed.
And later today,
Miss Myers, you can't collect child support for a child who's emancipated.
But they are letting him do that, and I give it to Isaiah.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that
I swear under oath. I give Isaiah every dime.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Talisha Doss says her aunt and uncle, Connie and Walter Trouser, owe for damage to the hood of her car. Talisha says she was chased by their son's pit bull and had no choice but to jump on the vehicle.
You have anything else you want to say to me?
You gotta understand, my house is like where everyone come to, all the kids and everything else. And we had the dog there, and the dog is used to the environment. The dog is a family dog.
He's not vicious.
He jumped out of the window of a car.
Probably just this was a nice day, and he probably just jumped out the window. He wasn't actually attacking her.
That's
he just
what he
jumped
said.
out the car.
Is your son lying to me?
She just need that dog.
No,
many
listen
times.
to me. Is your son lying to me?
What do you mean? Is he lying to you about what?
He said the dog was attacking her.
He was just going after her.
No.
I asked her specifically.
No, listen to me. I just asked you a question. Your son just said to me he was attacking her. I saw him attacking her.
No,
that's what
he
he
was
said.
not attacking her, according to him. He was playing with her.
my auntie wasn't
He was
home.
playing with her. It doesn't matter. He was playing with her.
I'm just asking you. That's what he said he saw. Now, you weren't home, right?
No.
That's what your son said. We can play back the tape for you. Your son said, I saw him attacking her.
But the point was not that he wasn't coming after her. No, she jumped on her own car.
Listen to me.
Buck never jumped on her car. I asked her specifically, did
listen
she do
to
that?
me. He doesn't have to jump. Okay. Miss Chaz, are you being serious with me?
I'm being very
Are you being serious with me? Well, you're being very foolish. I'm not going to allow you to continue because you're just being very foolish. A, you weren't there. B, listen to me carefully. Listen, you may get away with talking at home over somebody. You don't get away with talking over me.
Well,
if your dog put a stranger, and she's a stranger because she's not the owner of the dog, you're the homeowner, and you allowed the dog in your house, let's say instead of injuring her car, look at me, pay attention, don't look up in the air, annoyed. Let's say instead of damaging her car, when she jumped up on the car to escape the dog, who your son says, because he was there, was attacking her, and let's say she broke her arm in addition to damaging her car, you would also be responsible for her medical bills and her pain and suffering because you allowed the dog to be unleashed and it's your dog. Now, she may have, put your hand down and listen, you're going to learn something. She may, let us assume, have overreacted to the extent of the danger from your dog. It's still your fault. That's why you are not permitted to allow a dog to be free without a leash unless it's in a designated area. Like
it was
in a
on
dog
my property.
Listen to me. It's not on your property if you invite guests to your home.
I didn't invite her.
Oh my God, yeah, listen to me. What do you do for a living?
I work at a group home.
Yeah, stay there. Don't go to law school. Because you're not getting it. You're stubborn-headed. And if you have a dog in your house that has displayed any sort of propensity for either being vicious or apparently so, because according to the son over here, who now looks mildly bored, the dog was attacking her, which is why he grabbed it. Anybody that is now injured in or around your home because of this dog, it's going to be your responsibility. Do you own your home?
Yes.
Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yes.
You're going to have to use it. And you don't want to be in that position. I'm just giving you fair warning. Judgment for the plaintiff for the damage to the car in the amount of $546. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You know, I love my auntie dearly.
I just think she's being greedy
We all was close.
and selfish.
She left in my face.
She wanted somebody, and I told her I'm not giving her a quarter.
And it kind of got to me that she didn't even care.
She jumped on her own car.
I could have got bit instead of a scratch on the car.
No, it separated the family.
I don't know. Hopefully, time will heal.
Young lady, have a seat, please.
Miss Wilson, there was a time that you provided daycare for the defendant's 3 children. According to your complaint, as a result of some scandalous and slanderous remarks that the defendant made, you lost income.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And you want her to compensate you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your oldest daughter?
Yes.
And you have 2 little
Yes.
ones, toddlers.
Yes.
How many days a week did you take care of?
Sunday through Thursday.
From what time to what time?
From 6:30 to 3 o'clock.
You were going to work, I assume.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have children of your own?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
11 and 4.
When did the trouble begin?
March 22nd.
And tell me what happened.
Chantel had told me after
That's Chantel?
Yes. After I picked them up from the babysitter, but after from her house, she had told me that Rhoda had left him in the car alone while she went inside 2 stores, and she had the keys in the car. She had the car running also. She didn't wake up till 10 in the morning. I dropped them off at 6:30. They didn't eat breakfast. As soon as they woke up, she said, Rhoda said, come on, it's time to go. She didn't have my 1-year-old, she was 1 year, she was 1 then. She didn't have her in a car seat. She had my son, it wasn't in a car seat. He was in a, like a carrier, and she didn't have him strapped in. And Tiara, my youngest daughter, was sitting on Chantel's lap in the car. And she also didn't have my permission to take them from her house.
To take them off the premises?
Mm-hmm.
Had she ever taken them off the premises before?
Not that I know of, no.
Do you remember coming home and telling your mom about this car ride that you took?
Yes.
You want you to come up here so we can talk. Tell me your name again.
Chantel.
And you're 9?
Yes.
What grade are you in school?
4th. I'm going to 4th.
You do well in school?
Yes.
Good. Tell me what you told her.
I told her that we woke up until 10 and we didn't.
What do you mean you woke up until 10?
I mean, Miss Rhoda woke up until 10. And
Well, she didn't get up until 10. Who took care of you from 6:30 to 10?
nobody. She just kept waking up and then checking on us.
Where were the babies?
Sleep. And somewhere wake up. My sister was woke.
So you told your mom about this business in the car. Were you strapped in the car in your seatbelt?
No.
And what about your brother?
No.
And your little sister?
No, she was sitting on my lap.
How old is your little sister?
1. Now she's 2.
But at that time she was 1 year old.
Yes.
Now when you say she was sitting on your lap, were you sitting in the front of the car or in the back of the car?
Back.
And was she sitting on your lap when the car was moving?
Yes.
Have a seat over there with your mom. Okay. So after your daughter told you about this, what did you do?
I was mad, and the next day I went over there to get my son's pacifier from Rhoda.
And what happened?
She asked me how come I hadn't brought them, and I told her why, and we were arguing.
So the next day you didn't bring your children back?
No.
Did you file any report?
With the police and with the Gary County Health Department.
And when did you do that?
The health department, I did that the next day. The police, I think I did that about, I'd say 5 to 7 days after I had filed it with the health department.
Can you tell me why you, after you notified the health department, which I assume licenses you, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why you notified the police?
Because they didn't contact me back right away. I wanted to make sure that something would be done about it.
How many other children were in your care at the time you were taking care of Miss Dixon's children?
14.
14 children?
Yes, I did 18 hours straight, 7 days a week.
14 children?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're saying the same time. I'm sorry. It was my 4-year-old, my 11-year-old, the 13-year-old, and his brother David, which is 6 years old.
And her 3 children.
And her 3 children.
It's a lot of children to take care of. Okay, now is it that complaint to the health department and to the police department that you are complaining of today?
No, my complaint is, Your Honor, is the slander. She made a police report saying that I left her kids in the car by themselves and went shopping in Walmart. That's the complaint, Your Honor.
Yes.
That's the slander, and that's the slander that she spread it all over Junction City, stating that I left her kids in the car and went shopping in Walmart, and how she got my contract taken away from the state. She was bragging about that.
Well, let's go back a second, Miss Wilson. You did, in fact, go out to run a couple of quick errands with the children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you supposed to take the children off premises in a car when you're taking care of them?
With the signed permission slip, Your Honor.
Do you have a signed permission slip from her?
No, ma'am.
So that you had no right to take them off the premises?
Verbally, she told me, she asked me if it was okay for her to work 2 hours overtime. The 2 hours overtime that I was working for her, Your Honor, was my off time. She called and asked about if it was okay for her to work 2 hours overtime. I said, yeah. I said, but I have to run a couple of errands. That's what I told her. But I said, yeah, you go ahead and work 2 hours overtime.
Did you have a signed permission slip from her to take her children off the premises?
No, ma'am.
The answer is no.
No, ma'am.
So you're not allowed to take her children off the premises?
Verbally. Well, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You took other children in the car with you, too, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children other than the defendant's children were in the car?
It was Xavier, the 13-year-old, David, my 4-year-old, and her 3.
So you had 5 children in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How many car seats did you have in the car?
I had 1 car seat.
And who was using that car seat?
The baby.
Which baby?
Romeo, the 12-month-old, was in the car seat.
That's her baby?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is the next oldest child?
The next oldest was her child, I guess she 18 months.
Was that child in a car seat?
No, ma'am.
You know that's against the law.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I went in and out of those places, Your
Doesn't
Honor.
make any difference. You left 5 children in the car for a moment.
And later today,
Madam, why did you sign the back of the check?
Let me see, because I don't know.
It's a check made out to cash. You cashed the check.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daycare provider Rhoda Wilson says client Adrian Dixon damaged her reputation with slander. Adrian says Rhoda neglected her children.
Where was the first stop you made?
The first stop I made was at the cleaners, Your Honor.
You left 5 children in the car and ran into the cleaners.
It was driving cleaners, Your Honor. My car was right there by the door.
You left the children in the car for a moment.
With the 13-year-old.
For a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, where was the second place that you went?
The Quick Sack.
What is that?
That's a convenience store.
And what did you have to buy there?
The bread and the vanilla wafers for my PM snack.
And did you take all 5 children into that store with you?
No, ma'am.
So, Miss Wilson, you left the 5 children in the car alone. I don't have to go any further with you. Were you issued any sort of citation?
All they got me for was improper seatbelting.
Did you take a plea, or did you go to trial?
I went to trial, Your Honor.
Oh, you did, and you were found guilty?
Of not properly seatbelting.
So you were found guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you were found guilty, Miss Wilson, you were found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which means that you can't now bring this lawsuit against her for complaining about things, some of which you were found guilty of. And if your complaint, Miss Wilson, is that the defendant told people about it, she could do that.
Your Honor, I didn't leave her kids in the car by themselves and was shopping at no Walmart.
So you didn't go to Walmart, so you went to the cleaners and you went to get your vanilla wafers. What difference does it make?
I went in and out of those places, Your
Doesn't
Honor.
make any difference. Do you know how long it takes a child, a 4-year-old, to put a car in gear, even if there are no keys in the car? We haven't even gotten to the fact whether the keys were in or out of the car. But let's say you were smart enough to take the keys with you, which I'm not so sure about. And one of the children, one of the toddlers, got there and moved the gear shift so that the car was placed in drive. and started to roll with 5 children in the car?
Your Honor, it was just that I volunteered to work 2 hours overtime for her,
Then
and
you-
it was my off hours. I was planning. I didn't need
What
the
do you-
jeans.
are you?
I didn't need the jeans, Your Honor. I just needed the bread and the vanilla wafers, and I could have done that if I wouldn't have worked overtime.
Just a second. Then you say I can't work overtime. You don't take the job to work overtime, Miss Wilson, and then do the wrong thing. You didn't need the jeans, and you do without the vanilla wafers if you agreed to work 2 hours overtime. You were going to get paid for 2 hours overtime, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Miss Wilson, you don't have a case. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Come on. She slandered and lied about everything in a police report. Junction City is so small, it's like air freshener. You spray a little bit, it's all over, with a matter of seconds.
She's mad because she lost her contract and she can't get no more money for not doing the job that she was supposed to be doing. She was doing the job wrong.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hayes versus Macy. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Michael Hayes is suing former live-in girlfriend, 18-year-old telemarketer Dina Massey, for the return of belongings bought with an insurance settlement.
There was a time when you were living together when your house burned down. Is that right?
That's correct.
How long had you been living in that house?
We've been living there for about, I say, 8 or 9 months.
After the house burned down, you got an insurance settlement check.
Mm-hmm.
And how much was that for?
$5,700.
It was $5,400.
Oh, $5,400. Some of that money was spent on furnishing a new place, right? And some of the money was spent for a car that you have. So is it a fair statement that all of the money that was used to purchase the new furniture for the new house came from this insurance money?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
No. My daughter's bedroom, somebody from school donated it. My bathroom, I paid for out of my my income tax return, which I have right here.
I didn't say all the furniture in the whole place was purchased from this money, but the money that was used to purchase the new furniture that you still have came from this pot of $5,400.
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
He wants to be reimbursed for that because he says that the renter's insurance was in his name. Is that right?
That's correct.
You say that he got the car,
Right.
and that also was paid for out of this $5,400, so that you're even.
Right.
Okay, so I have a few questions.
Okay. The check was for $5,400, if that's what she said. I think it was $57. The car that I brought was only $1,000.
No.
Yeah, her daughter's bedroom.
No.
Just a second.
Yes, her daughter's bed was donated to us by the school, but the rest of the house I had brought and paid for with the
Okay,
insurance
so I have some
money.
questions. Why don't you let me ask my questions?
Okay.
How were you paying all of your bills? Were you putting this into a joint checking account and paying your bills from a joint checking account when you were living together, or were you each taking care of certain bills?
Well, she's like a control freak. So when I had my checks, I just, like gave her the money. You could pay, I didn't give her the money, but I told her, being that she had that checking account, well, we both had a joint account, you just go ahead, pay the light and the gas, pay all the bills, and I just give her the money just to keep her mouth closed.
All right. So if that's true, what you're telling me is she put her money in to pay some bills, and you put your money in to pay some
No,
bills.
my half of the money went to the bills that was in my name, like the light, the gas, and the rent to the house. And her half of the money went to things that was in her name, like the phone, cable, and whatever else.
The rent is in her bill, the rent, the phone. Where you rent your furniture from?
Oh, you
He
were
wasn't
renting
paying
for
for that.
Rent-A-Center.
Well, how was you paying for it and you don't have a job?
Don't speak.
I was paying for that
Don't
through the
speak
welfare
to each
check.
other. Now, when you took out this renter's insurance, who did you take it out from?
United Insurance Company.
Okay,
And
can
I-
I see that policy, please?
I don't have the policy with me. I wasn't able to get that. I had insurance for the things that was mine. She didn't have insurance for what was hers. So when the house had burnt down, her things in the house was left in the fire.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She wanted the car in her name and her mom's name because she said she didn't feel like she had enough security. The house was in my name and the furniture and everything was in my name.
Because he tries to pull stuff like this.
No.
That's why.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Hayes says former live-in girlfriend Dina Massey owes him for half the value of their belongings.
Let me see what you purchased
Well,
with that check.
I have receipts for like the big items, for like the furniture and the bedroom suite, but all like the miscellaneous items, the receipts is in the house with her, but I do have some receipts.
Let me see.
And I would just like to say, he said he spent $1,400 on his car. No, I have a check right here. It says $2,100
No,
for
actually,
his car.
I have a receipt saying I paid $1,000
He
for my
took
car. Here you go.
$2,100 out cash for the car. He spent it on, you know, for stuff inside the car.
Let me see her check.
And I have all the checks too.
Let me see. Check. You have a check here for $2,100 that's made out to cash, that's signed by him.
And it says car in a memo.
Just a second. That you endorsed.
What do you mean? I endorsed it.
You endorsed it. It was made out to cash, and you got the money. Take a look at the back of the check.
I didn't get the money for that.
It's not made out to a car dealership.
What we did was we rode to the bank. We wrote a check for $2,100 in cash. He put the memo. It says car. He took $2,100 out for the car. Okay.
No.
Why did he? Just a second, madam. Why did you sign the back of the check?
Let me see, because I don't know. I know we got $2,100 out for the car. But he signed the front of it.
I know he signed the front of it. It's a check made out to cash. You cashed the check.
Yeah, I cashed the check.
You cashed the check.
But I gave him the money. We went and we drove and we looked around for cars. It was supposed to be our car. It wasn't just
No,
his
it was
car.
my car.
No, it wasn't just your car.
She was going on this trip, like she was like a power trip or something. I don't know what was wrong with her. She wanted the car in her name and her mom's name because she said she didn't feel like she had enough seniority, or, you know, she wanted some seniority, so she wanted my car in her name because the house was in my name and the furniture and everything was in my name.
Because he tries to pull stuff like this.
No.
That's why.
Let's say you paid $2,000 for the car, okay?
But I
you got,
didn't know
let's
to pay.
say you got $5,400. What Miss Massey is saying is, since each of you was contributing money to the house, she should have some benefit from this insurance money as well.
But we both lived there and we both was on a lease. I had renter, I mean, we had a nice house. I had renter's insurance for the things that was matched. She could have did the same thing.
Show me the policy.
I wasn't able to get it, but I had the
just
check.
on some
You're
items.
absolutely
You
right,
get it on
Miss
the
Massey.
whole house.
You're absolutely
And
right.
I had,
Okay, and the
I'm
whole house was
speaking.
mine.
The whole house
Hey,
is not yours.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Was the furniture that burned down rental furniture?
Yes, it was rental furniture.
Who paid the rental company?
I did.
There must have been a balance due for their furniture.
And he didn't.
Ben's that the couch and a love seat that we had from Rental Center was still there. They was able to come in and take their stuff, so we wouldn't have to, you know, I wasn't liable for it no more.
What do you mean? You mean everything burned down except their furniture?
Everything didn't burn down, just the couch and the chair burnt down. Everything else was smoke damage.
So are you telling me nobody paid Rent a Center for their
Yeah,
furniture?
they came
They
and
got
they
their
got it.
furniture
They got
back.
it back. They took it back.
They took it back. I guess they were going to fix it or whatever. I don't know what they were going to do to it.
You want me to believe they came and took back
They
this
did.
couch
They
and they
did.
didn't say to you, you have insurance, you have to pay us?
No, they came and took it, Ben's that, I don't know, the couch had caught a fire, and they said if it was still, I don't know, they just came and took it back.
I don't know either. I don't know either. You have the car?
Yes, I do.
You have the car? You got the furniture?
Right.
Cordero versus Valdez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Cordero, you were attempting to serve a summons on the defendant
Yes, ma'am.
in another action. The other action was an action that was brought by your mother against him, allegedly for some work she did for him. And it is your claim that while attempting to serve this summons on the defendant, he assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to be compensated. What kind of claim did your mother have against the defendant?
It was for work that she was not paid for.
What kind of work?
Bookkeeping.
Is this your mother?
Yes, it is.
Could you step up, please? Are you Mrs. Cordero?
Yes, I am.
When did you work for the defendant?
Late August, first 2 weeks of September.
And you were suing him for wages that he failed to pay you?
Correct.
Was that lawsuit ultimately resolved?
No, it is still pending.
When is your next court date?
November the 30th.
Okay, so I don't want you to say anything else about that. Mr. Valdez, do you know you have to be back in court on November the 30th?
No, I don't, Your Honor. That case has already been resolved. I wanted judgment against this lady in that case.
For what?
Well, she claimed that she had hours worked which wasn't the case. I had already paid her, and I had a canceled check showing that I had paid her.
Did you win that judgment by default?
I won it by default, Your Honor.
Because she was not present.
That's right.
So, as far as you know, you're going back to court.
Correct.
Okay. Now have a seat. Okay. So you were serving this summons on behalf of your mother. On what day were you serving the summons?
It was October 5th of this year, 2000.
And where did you go to serve him?
At his home, which it's / place of his residence and his office.
Tell me what happened.
I walked in, and I was asked to sit down because Mr. Valdez was busy in the backyard.
Do you know who asked you to sit down?
It was his bookkeeper. I'm not sure of her name. She didn't introduce herself. She was just blunt in telling me that he's busy right now. And there was a honk. It was my mom. It was after 10 minutes of waiting there. I went ahead and told her that I was in kind of a rush and that all I had to do was give Mr. Valdez some papers. Well, she pointed me in the direction to where he would be at, and she told me to follow the bricks around, and I would see him.
Where was that, in the backyard?
Yeah, I was in the backyard. So I passed the pool up, and I went around, and there was Mr. Valdez. She said he would be the only one back there, so I knew it was him. And I walked up to him with a smile, and I said, "Are you Mr. Valdez?" And during the time...
Just a minute, sir.
During the time that I was walking up to him, he said, "What's going on up there?" I guess because he heard the honking of my mom's
Don't tell me
horn.
what you guess.
Yeah,
Just tell me what he said.
He said, yeah, but when he looked down and saw the letter in my hand, or the papers in my hand...
You started to tell me something that he said, Ms. Cordero.
He was about to say yes until he saw that I had something in my hand. And then he said no with a little giggle afterwards. Okay? Then he picked me up and he spun me around and he...
How did he pick you up?
He picked me up and he spun me around. He picked
Your
me
Honor,
up with his
that's
hands.
not true.
He picked me up with his hands and he spun me around and he took me to the entrance of his gate and threw me out of his gate.
Were your feet on the ground or off the ground?
No, they were off the ground, ma'am, when he picked me up.
How far was it from the spot where he picked you up, Ms. Cordero, to the gate?
It was about as far as I am to you, ma'am.
So are you telling me that he carried you?
Yes, he did.
Carried you this whole distance?
Yeah.
And then put you outside the gate?
Yeah, with my back towards his stomach. Okay? And then he threw me out of the gate. From there, I fell on my rear end. I had lost a shoe.
Where did you fall?
On the grass area between, there's a cement slab, there's his gate, and before that is his lawn. I fell on his lawn. And during that, I had dropped my shoe, and the other shoe was twisted on my foot. So I was on the ground already. I went to grab my shoe, and when I turned around, Mr. Valdez was standing over me with his hand cocked back, ready to hit me, to punch me. And I ran. I got my shoe and I ran. I ran to the car and that my mom was in. It was parked. And I told her that he was crazy. And I was shooken up. I was shocked. But my mom seen the summons still in my hand, so she asked me to go back and to give it to the bookkeeper, and which I did.
All right, Mr. Valdez. I read your answer, sir. You say you thought the plaintiff was a pool crasher.
I thought she was a pool crasher because what had happened in the past is that I saw that there were bobby pins at the bottom of my pool about a week before that. This had been occurring all during the summer. And I saw that there was also an elastic hair band.
So there was trash in your pool.
Right. Well, I thought that she was going to crash my property. She was trespassing my property. She had no right to be there. I was by my guest house fixing a sprinkler head when this lady appeared, and I was shocked. I turned around and I told her that she had no right to be on my property, and I ordered her off the property. And I think I was probably intimidating, and I yelled at her, but in no way did I touch this woman. And then she went around by the gate and then left around the other side.
How could you have possibly been intimidating, sir?
Well, I was yelling at her. I told her that she shouldn't be on... Well, I had a loud voice, and I wanted her off my property.
How far were you from her when you were yelling?
Well, my pool is about 20 by 40. I was about 40 feet away.
Is it your statement that you never got within 40 feet of her?
I got within about 20 feet of her.
Could it have been 10 feet?
No.
Well, what did you say to her when you were 10 feet away?
I ordered her off the property. No, I ordered her off the property when I was about the length of the pool. It was by my guest house that I have there because the sprinkler head was clogged.
You weren't afraid of her, were you?
No, but I didn't want her on my property.
Just a
I
second.
didn't want anybody on my property that wasn't authorized to be
Mr.
there.
Valdez, how do you get into your backyard?
Well, to get into the backyard, there are three possibilities to get into the backyard.
Okay, tell me.
There's one by the garage.
Is that locked?
No, it isn't locked. There's another one on the other side of the house, which is facing Panorama Drive, the front part of the house.
Yes.
And there's a black gate there, a black iron gate.
Is that locked?
No, it's not locked.
Yes.
It's not locked because I have a pool service.
I don't care why. I don't care why it's not locked. It's not locked. And what's the third way?
The third way is coming through the house.
Okay. Now, at the time you saw the plaintiff, you didn't know which way she came in. Is that right?
That's right. I didn't know which way she came in.
So you didn't know whether she came through the house where your bookkeeper was. Is that right?
That's right.
And certainly the plaintiff does not look like she's a molester, a thug, a robber. So my question to you, Mr. Valdez, is if I were in the backyard of my home near my pool and I saw a young woman there alone, not a gang, alone, and I knew that one of the ways that they could get into the backyard was to come through the house where they would have to pass through someone who could say he's outside, I would say, excuse me, what are you looking for? Can I help you? That would seem to me a logical thing to do, sir.
Well, my mind was going differently because
I'm not caring about the bobby pins in your pool. Don't play with me.
I'm not playing with you.
Yes, you are, sir.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, sir. Because anybody who would use your pool without your authority, which
It's
is what...
happened before, Your Honor.
Why don't you let me finish?
I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want you to describe the office that you walked into.
There was a desk in the middle. There was a fan above. There was a bathroom that had a shower in it with mirrors.
Looks like she spent some time there, Your Honor.
She did. She spent 10 minutes in there waiting for you, Mr. Valdez.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Antoinette Cordero says Dennis Valdez assaulted her when she served him with a subpoena. Dennis says he thought Antoinette was a pool crasher.
Mr. Valdez, anyone who would use your pool without your permission and have a party in your pool when you weren't around wouldn't do it when you were there in the middle of the day.
Well, a lot of times I'm not there during the day.
But you were there that day.
That's
So
right.
she wasn't going to take her clothes off and jump in your pool and get bobby pins in the bottom of your pool, sir. So what I'm asking you is, isn't it a normal thing when you see somebody in your backyard?
I have a garage,
I'm
Your Honor.
speaking.
My car is in the
Are you
garage.
speaking or am I speaking? It's a normal thing to say, can I help you? What do you want?
It is not a normal thing if they're trespassing on my property where they shouldn't be, Your Honor.
How do you know she shouldn't be there?
Well, I knew she shouldn't be there because she had no right there. I give the authority.
No. You are wrong, Mr. Valdez. You are 100% wrong. The person who is your bookkeeper in your house, you employ that person?
Yes, I do.
That person is your agent. You
That's
understand
right.
that?
That's right.
Your agent instructed her to go outside.
That is hearsay, Your Honor.
Let me tell you something. She didn't come in through a gate, sir. She knew enough to know that
We
you
don't
had...
know that,
I am
Your Honor.
speaking... Oh, I know it, Mr. Valdez. I know it because if it weren't true, you would have your bookkeeper here to say, I never gave her permission to go in the backyard. She had permission from your agent to enter your premises. Therefore, she was not trespassing. Do you understand, Mr. Valdez?
I understand what
Good.
you're saying, but I don't agree with it, Your
I
Honor.
don't give a rat's behind whether you agree with it or not. I don't agree with your statement and your answer, sir, that you thought she was a pool crasher. I think that that's a lot of baloney that you made up just now. Because you went back inside after you threw her off your property and you said to your bookkeeper, did you let her on the property?
And she said no.
Really?
That's right.
Really?
She
Describe,
said
just a second. I want you, Miss Cordero, to describe the bookkeeper.
She was about my height.
How tall are you?
5'5", 5'4".
Go ahead. What color hair?
And black hair.
Yes.
Brown eyes. She didn't have no kind of accent.
No kind.
No
She
kind
had
of
no
accent.
accent.
No accent at all.
Okay.
She was asking me how my day was. She was real talkative.
Now, I want you to describe the office that you walked into.
Okay, there was a desk in the middle. There was a fan above with the overhead lights. There was an entertainment center right here, an entertainment center right here, and there was an entertainment center off to my right.
So there were 3 different entertainment kind of
Yes, there was a
centers.
carpentry book that I was staring directly in front of me. There was a bathroom that had it was a beautiful bathroom. It had a shower in it with mirrors, and there was a...
Had you used the
Looks like
bathroom?
you spent
No,
some time
but
there,
I had to
Your Honor.
walk...
She
I
did.
had to
She
walk-
spent 10 minutes in there waiting for you, Mr. Valdez.
I had to walk past that in order to get to the side door, which the bookkeeper held open for me.
Does that sound as if she came through a back gate?
Your Honor,
I'm asking you a question. Does that sound as if she came through a back gate?
you're taking her word for it, for one thing, Your Honor.
What's the telephone number of your bookkeeper?
I don't have that, Your Honor.
Just a second. What's the telephone number
I could
of your...
get it for you, but I don't have that right now.
Isn't she working for you?
Yes, she is.
Is she working for you in your office?
Yes.
Give me the number.
My number is...
Is this the office number that she will pick up on?
She should be picking that up.
Good. And what's her name?
Her name is Sheila. At any rate, Your Honor, she did not, I did not assault her, you know, so, I mean...
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Mr. Valdez, don't interrupt me, sir. I think
I'm
you're a
sorry.
hothead.
I'm
I want to
sorry.
say, I think you're a hothead.
I'm sorry.
Don't say it again. I always have the last word.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Antoinette Cordero says Dennis Valdez assaulted her while in the process of serving him with a subpoena. Dennis says Antoinette was trespassing.
Mr. Valdez, I wouldn't pay Sheila for the entire day if you thought she was supposed to be there. She doesn't pick up. Now,
She had to pick up her child.
What you started to say, Mr. Valdez, was, it doesn't make any difference. What any of the other facts are, I didn't assault her.
Well, that's the matter before
Oh,
us.
Mr. Valdez, that's how you come to a conclusion, sir. That's how a truth finder, that's how a judge makes a determination. So the first thing
Well,
you
it
said
seems
to
to
me,
me
and
you
I
should go
quite
by the
frankly,
evidence, Your Honor.
yes, I do, Mr. Valdez. She says you assaulted her. You say that you didn't. So then you have to ask questions. And in response to my questions, you said you had the right to throw her off because she had no...
Not to throw her off, to order her off.
I'm speaking. Don't interrupt me when I'm
sorry.
speaking. She was trespassing. And I said to you, she wasn't trespassing if she had permission by your agent, Sheila, to go in the back. She said she did. You said that's what she says. Now, I know that if I were a normal person, after this incident, I would have gone back into my employee, Sheila, and I would have said to her, did you allow somebody to come into the back through the house?
I did. I did, Your Honor.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say?
She said that she allowed her in the area and to go to the bathroom, but she didn't allow her to go in the backyard.
Oh, Mr. Valdez. You see, that's how you draw conclusions that give you information upon which you decide who is telling the truth and who is not. Because, Mr. Valdez, if you had said to me, she was in the office, right? She did come through the house.
I didn't know that at the time, Your
But
Honor.
you found that out later, sir.
That's
Why
right.
weren't you forthcoming with me? You led me to believe that you thought she came through one of those gates.
I did. I did think she came through one of those gates. I
As
didn't
we're
know where she
standing
came
here
from.
today, sir, you knew she didn't come through one of those gates. As we're standing here today.
As we're standing here today, I
Mr.
know that she
Valdez,
went through the...
I'm going to tell you something. I think each of you is fudging it just a bit.
A bit? $5,000 is a bit?
Mr. Valdez, don't interrupt me, sir. I
I'm
think you're a
sorry.
hothead.
I'm
I want
sorry.
to tell you something. I think you're a hothead.
I'm sorry.
Don't say it again. I always have the last word. Always. Because I don't think that Miss Cordero was injured at all. And I do not believe that Miss Cordero was lifted by you and carried 15 feet out the gate and dropped on the ground. I don't believe that happened. I do, in fact, believe that you turned her around and pushed her out the gate. And she may have gotten frightened.
I'm sure that...
Just a second. Am I right, Miss Cordero? Yes. Right, of course. He didn't pick you up off the ground, carry you like Hercules.
He did.
Out.
He did.
Right? No, he didn't.
I have a
pushed you.
herniated disc in
He
my
pushed
back.
you. Listen to me, sir. I just said I didn't believe that you picked her up because I don't believe that someone with your ego, believe me, and I can tell ego, would hurt himself because you didn't have to, because she was frightened enough being there, having to serve the summons. You didn't have to pick her up and throw her off the property, putting your hands on her physically and turning her around. And I also believe, sir, that you knew who she was. That sticks right over here, that you knew...
I'm sure this
that
isn't the first time you've been wrong.
Oh, Mr. Valdez, I don't know whether I've ever been wrong before, but I tell you now, I'm not wrong now. How many times have you been sued by employees?
Once.
Once for wages, is that right?
Well, it's not wages. It's a contract that we have with my employer because they do the work independently.
Whatever. It's the first time you've been sued. And when was the first time you were given information that the plaintiff's mother was going to sue you?
Well, it was that very day that this lady arrived at the property because she came around the house and delivered the summons at my office.
You mean after she left your backyard?
Right.
And before that, you had no idea that her mother wanted money from you?
Well, her mother had contacted me trying to get money out of me, but I had already paid her.
I didn't ask you that, Mr. Valdez. When had she called you?
I believe it was about a week or so after she had left her work.
And did she call you more than once?
I don't recall. I think it was once or twice. I think she left a message on one occasion when
Did she tell you she was going to sue you for her money?
That's what she said, right?
Right. All right. Now, Ms.
But she
Cordero,
lost that case, Your Honor.
She didn't lose that case, sir. She lost that case. She lost that case by default, sir, and she's had it reinstated. And if I were you, I would find out whether on the 30th of November of this year you have to be back in court. Otherwise, you could lose by default. Do you understand?
Well, I have to be served, don't I, Your Honor? I mean, I know that now.
That's the problem.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now, Miss Cordero, you were not injured, is that right?
No, I wasn't. I have even a police report right here that states that I was not injured. I was shocked, and I didn't want to.
No, you were shocked and you were frightened.
Yes.
Just for my own information, how much money is your mother claiming that Mr. Valdez owes her?
For 3 days of work, I'm not sure how much that is. I don't have.
You have no idea?
No idea about that. No.
She didn't work full time. Your
How
Honor.
much?
$131.
In total? In total, that's what you're suing him for?
Yes.
Your Honor, on the
I just
original case, it was for $80. This whole matter is for $80.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount.
ओए जेबी रैंडम पंचिंग मत किया कर। बारह ओए रुक जा देवी होना बस तो ना इस गड्डी जो है इस गड्डी ओए बैठ बैठ, इसका एक टास्क करवाना है। ओ सॉरी सॉरी। जे भी बैठ ना।